with the fragmentation of media, the one-to-one relationship between the fan and their club and their player, it's going to become more critical. Well, the one thing about technology is, Carlo, it reinvents itself constantly.
Hi, everybody. At times you are in the crowd and there's someone taller than you close by, and they're looking at something specific. And so you try to jump and see, what they're looking at. And if you want, that's the way I feel about my next guest, who's George Pyne by Bruin Capital. Hi, George.
Hey, Carlos, great to be with you. How you doing?
I'm good. So first, for the few people in the industry that don't know you, tell me about George Pyne and Bruin Capital quickly.
Yeah, so Bruin invests in sports businesses on a global basis. Our portfolio companies operate in 16 countries. We do business in 50, and we work with almost every major federation and club in the world.
Yeah, that's pretty impressive. And I remember I saw you in an interview with Barron's. You were saying that sport is a great investment asset class. Why do you think so?
Well, look, I think sports engages millions and millions of fans in a way that nothing else really does. It brings millions of people together around a passion point. It's global, it's passionate, and has hundreds of millions of followers. So sports as an asset class has been very durable. Over 30 years, the team valuations of clubs have increased at a double-digit pace. So sports is a very valuable and durable and reliable asset class, and has been for over 30 years.
On the other end, I saw that you have a blog newsletter on LinkedIn called Channel Change, correct?
Correct. I've always wanted to be in the middle of a channel change, so I like the term.
Yeah, I like the name. And basically, you were saying that funds first is the new model. How do you think this will happen, and how it will change the industry?
Well, I think with the fragmentation of media, the one-to-one relationship between the fan and their club and their player, it's going to become more critical. Yes, still people will watch in big numbers in media, but you're going to be able to experience your passion point in so many different ways. And really, it's going to be direct to consumer through data and other content, audiovisual content and print content, and just visual content. So I, as a club or a federation, are going to be able to, or an athlete, are going to have this relationship with the consumers that's really one-to-one. And I think that's the future of sport. I mean, when you look at Ronaldo and Messi, with 500 million social media users, in their own right, they're influencers. In their own right, they're a brand and a platform. And I think you're going to see more and more of that as time goes on.
Yeah, that's absolutely true. And it's been, disintermediation is something that I also picked up early, and I was focusing on that as a way to move the industry forward, and channel change maybe. One thing that I notice often, you explain the way you invest, which is not in the sport teams, etc., but you invest in the ecosystem around sport. And through the years, I saw you investing in different areas. What is your focus now? I mean, whatever you can share with us and with me, what is your current focus? Because I know you were looking at some point hospitality, and then streaming, and then maybe direct to consumer marketing. Where are you looking at now?
Well, we really look at things. We only invest in things that we think we can affect the outcome in, and what we've become really good at is opening new markets for companies. Initially, we were opening America to great European companies. We're now opening Europe to great American companies, and we now have a substantial holding in Australia. So we really cross, Australia, the Americas, and Europe, and cross-sell the services, of our companies. On top of that, we tend to like technology. So data and tech, we're very comfortable with. And of course, we're in data and tech because there's a lot of growth there.
Yeah. And I normally see that there is a lot of discussion in the public debate at events, podcasts, etc. Everybody talks about, if you want, the sport industry and the fans. I never see a lot of discussion about the sport industry and the vendor ecosystem around. And one thing that I was thinking is there is a lot of influence of big tech and big media at the moment. But what is the future of what we normally, it's a bit, a niche word, but own and operated platform. So the one that are owned and operated by a sport club, a sport league, Do you see them diminishing, or they, because of what you said in the direct-to-fans relation, this will grow and grow and grow?
Well, the one thing about technology is, Carlo, it reinvents itself constantly. And
That's
so
true.
that reinvention means there are going to be all kinds of opportunities for other people. I'm down here in Florida, and I was at the Miami Dolphins game meeting some people in the industry, and the whole talk was artificial intelligence. 5 years ago, nobody was really talking about artificial intelligence and how artificial intelligence is going to transform, every aspect of your life, and the sport will be no different. So, I just think that because technology is constantly evolving, constantly reinventing itself, it's going to provide opportunities for all kinds of operators in all kinds of forms of fashion.
Yeah, so that's why keeping technology as a theme could make sense, because, as you said, it will reinvent itself. True that you're moving business between different parts of the world, but I think as a North American, deeply in the sport business for many reasons and many years, I have some question that as an European, I was maybe not in a very simple situation to explain to people here in Europe. I saw 5 things that I want your quick fire opinion on, and I know you're very effective. One, how come 92,000 people went to a college game physically, and it was a volleyball in the US, and it was a women volleyball, with all respect? It's beyond belief for us, to be honest.
Well, women's sports in general on a global basis is really quite popular. And I think volleyball in the U.S. with women is quite popular. And I think, too, people like to be together at kind of cool and exciting events. And I think that's what was part of the equation. But, they had a women's basketball game, college. It had 60,000 people outdoors in the U.S. So, look, women's sports, it's here to stay, and it's popular.
Yeah, and the second question is the Sphere in Vegas. So this amazing entertainment experiment, can I call it? Do you think that is an unicum, or can become like, and then the next level of entertainment, and we will see it everywhere else?
I'm going to the Sphere this weekend, so I'm looking forward to it. There's another concept like the Sphere that's rolling out in the U.S. I forget the name of it. So I don't think it's a unicorn. And I think, again, those unique experiences through technology that allow people to experience things that they couldn't do before, I think there's going to be more of that, not less of it. So I don't think it's a unicorn. I think there are going to be other applications, and we'll see where it takes us.
Yeah, and then obviously, let me go to MLS and Apple, which I was very excited because it changed a bit the dynamic of the market. And I like when things change the dynamic. Do you see it as something that will happen more with other players, big tech doing what Apple is doing, or do you see Apple going to many, many sports? What is your view there?
I think eventually you're going to see way more direct consumer. Apple's going to, obviously, with the global reach and global capabilities, Apple, Amazon, YouTube, those types of platforms you're going to see more and more sports content on those platforms. The cool part about it is, people know who's watching and for how long they're watching. Yeah. Right. And so I think that's going to create more opportunities in the future.
And one that is starting to have a lot of interest, and being you on the investment side, you may understand much better than we do what is going on or what will go on. The ESPN saga, if I can call it like that. What do you think will happen? Even with the latest earnings that are saying, they're not doing that bad. So,
yeah, no, look, ESPN is a great company. It's probably not a growth company at the moment. It's probably more of a value company. It's gone from 100 million subscribers to 74 million subscribers, on the way to 50 million subscribers. That's that's a big reduction. And at the same time, you're losing the pricing power. If I want ESPN, I had to buy these other channels that maybe I wouldn't have bought if I didn't have to. Then also you have a company that was B2B to C, who's now the growth is B2C. That's a big transition for any company. And lastly, the margins on B2C are lower than B2B to C. Yeah. So there's a lot going on there. All that being said, still ESPN's a great brand. It's always going to have its place, but it's going to be different, right? It's going to be different going forward. That's for sure.
But do you have an idea who can buy them?
Well, I don't know who they'll buy, but I do think what they will do, someone could buy them. I think logical partners or acquirers would be a streaming company or a wireless company. So I would see Verizon as a potential candidate to work with ESPN, or Apple or Amazon. To me, are likely guys that provide something, right? Because ESPN, remember I said, is B2B to C. All of those guys have the B2C infrastructure from a marketing standpoint. The marketing is more important than the technology, because you have to know how to reach the person and interact with the person. And so those companies are going to be better at it than ESPN. So I think they add reach and they add capability in addition to capital.
Yeah. So the last question, but then there is one question I want to add at the end that came out this weekend. NBA TV deals expire in 2025 and season started. So a lot of articles about the new deals that they want. I don't remember exactly, 75 billion. So will it be in your prediction, will it be another media rights cycle like we have seen with winners and losers, or this can be a moment where the industry changes because of the way NBA approached this?
Well, I think the NBA is going to do well because it's such a valuable franchise. I do think you're going to see, it'll be interesting to see whether Warner Media is able to renew. I think Comcast and NBC are interested as well. And I wouldn't be surprised. In fact, I'd be almost surprised if there wasn't a streamer. I think a streamer, because the number of games that they have, but also it helps. In America, they have this thing called the regional sports networks, which is the local games are broadcast through cable locally. And that's having some challenges now with the fragmentation of media. And I think a streaming partner will be a good solution for all that. So for all those reasons, definitely a streamer, and potentially Comcast, NBC replaces Warner Media, and I think ESPN will renew. So I think that's directionally what's going to happen.
Yeah, and sorry, the extra last question. I've read this weekend that the NFL deal that YouTube did with predicted, I think, 1.5 million current subscriber. It's not economical working. So they think lose 1 billion every year or something like that. I don't know if you've seen the numbers. I'm not so super convinced. It seems that number of 1.5 for Sunday tickets can grow. So are you skeptical of the mathematics there? What's your opinion on that?
I think anytime you're in year one of a deal, I think you kind of have to pause and see what happens. Look, the most valuable content in America is American football, the NFL, it's kind of the NFL and everybody else. So also, typically, an investment in the NFL has other strategic objectives for the person buying the rights. So I think year one, it's a little early to declare victory or defeat for either the NFL or YouTube.
Yeah, I had the same impression. It was a bit too early. Okay, George. So as always, really cool listening to you and trying to understand where you're looking at, and enjoy the Sphere next weekend.
Yeah, thank you so much. It's great to see you, Carlo. Thanks for having me. Real pleasure.
Thank you. Ciao, George. Bye-bye.
Ciao, bye-bye.